Docker's multi-stage build is the single most impactful technique to reduce the size of your Docker images. In many cases, the reduction is as much as 95%. In this video, I'm going to show you how I took a Docker image, which was about 1 GB in size, and reduced it down to just 15 MB. So let's dive right in. Traditionally, we use a Dockerfile containing all instructions to build and run our application. This usually means we are using a heavy base image and downloading lots of dependencies like compilers, scanners, or libraries that are needed to build the final app. The final image that goes into production contains all these dependencies, all these heavy items, but these are all unnecessary burden because we don't actually need them now that we have a final artifact to run. They often add up and your Docker image ends up being very bloated. So ideally, we only need the final artifact that needs to run, like a compiled executable file. This is where multi-stage builds come in. Multi-stage builds allow us to build our Docker images in multiple stages. The idea is to have an initial stage where you build your application using compilers, build tools, and everything that you need. Once the build is complete, the essential artifacts like the compiled binaries or the static files are copied over to a new stage. This new stage is where you use a very lightweight base image like Alpine or Google's distroless images or even Alma. The final Docker image that gets created contains only the necessary runtime dependencies for the application to run. So we expect this final image to be a very, very lightweight one. Let's see this in action. I built a very simple Golang application. It's a Hello World HTTP server. But to follow this demo, you don't need to know Go. You just need some basic experience with Docker. I use Go because it produces a compiled binary, which is the only thing I ultimately need to run. Let's see the Dockerfile. Here's how you'd normally write your Dockerfile. I use a Golang base image which already has the compiler, will download the dependencies to build my app, maybe even linters or testing frameworks, whatever I need, everything to build my final artifact. Let's build the image. Done. Let me check my image. We have a normal server and it looks like it's 918 MB. Let's also run it once. So it looks like my server is also running. Now let's see how I can reduce the size using multi-stage builds. Let me copy my original Docker file into a new one. Okay. Let's make some changes to this. The first and the most important change is using another from statement. The moment I use another from statement, I am introducing a new stage to my Docker file, and only the last stage in my Docker definition gets built into the final image. Now I can pick some of the important things like the artifacts from my original stage. So let me name my previous stage as build. Okay, and copy build app to just app. Now I can take my commands from here and post them here. What we've done is first we took a Golang image and we built our application into the final statically linked binary, and it is ready for us to use in production. I use a second stage in my Dockerfile where I use a very lightweight image, in this case Alpine. The important bit here is that I copy the artifact that I need to run from my original stage 1 into my stage 2, which is my final image. I named my original stage 1 as build, and I'm copying the artifact from build into my final image as /app. Now I can just run app as a normal command. Only the last stage gets built as the Docker image, and since this last stage only contains a lightweight base image and my binary, it should be a very lightweight container image. Let's see. Okay, the build finished. Now if I check my new image, which I tagged as multi, here's the difference between the original image and the new image. The original being 900 MB, whereas the new image, which is the second stage of our Dockerfile, is just about 14 MB. Let's try and run the second one. My server still runs the same way. So you can see the significant difference that we created by just using multi-stage along with a very lightweight base image. And my application still runs as expected, and this is what I can now use in production. So that's how you reduce the size of your Docker images by an order of magnitude. Use multi-stage builds along with an extremely lightweight base image such as Alpine or Distroless for your production containers, which should only contain the runtime dependencies. If you found my video useful, it would mean the world to me if you reshare and subscribe to my channel. Cheers!